knac.com. Thanks for joining us. You can't have a discussion about Swedish death metal without mentioning hypocrisy. And today I have the privilege of talking to Peter Tägtgren, the brain behind hypocrisy that basically brought them about from the early 90s, a singer, keyboard player, guitar player. How you doing, Peter?
I'm doing good. How are you, man?
Very good, very good. It's a pleasure to speak to you. We're here talking about the upcoming tour that you guys have coming in support of the album that you guys released last year, Worship.
Yeah, exactly. So that's going to be a lot of fun to go out on tour again, especially in North America. It's really great, you know?
Yes.
So, we really looking forward to it. And I think we leave in 2 weeks. So
2 weeks. And how much preparation have you been doing?
Well, everybody's sitting home. I mean, we totally rearranged the set list from the last one. So there's a lot of old new ones, so to speak, that we never played live before, and some that we hardly played before. And we just try to rearrange a lot in the new set. And of course, we're gonna play the songs that are most popular, like, you know, Eraser and stuff like that. So, but in general, we kind of turned everything upside down. So everybody's sitting at home, practicing their own part and stuff like that. And we meet up. We just met up like a couple of weeks ago, and we're gonna meet up on Saturday again. So we just keep on going.
Very good.
Until it's gonna sound good, you know. Practice.
Of course. I'm sure it's going to sound amazing, and everybody's pumped to see you guys back on the road again, with support from The Agonist, Hideous Divinity, and Karak Angren. I don't know if I never pronounced that right.
Yeah, I don't know either. I mean, I mixed 2 albums with them, I think. And they're really cool, really different, for sure.
Now, this is in support of the album Worship, correct? Or is this just like And you guys made you did something that I guess was kind of different than some bands. You released the album in 2021 last year, where some bands, like, they either waited or they just changed their plans. Why did you guys just decide to release it just when you did?
Well, actually, the album was written between 2018 and 2019, and written and recorded over these 2 years. So in 2020, I had a tour with Lindemann, and after that I was supposed to mix it, but you know, then the pandemic came, and I just took the chance to take some time off and recharge my batteries, because it's been pretty hectic for the last 6-7 years, you know, with 3 bands active, playing live and stuff. It was really chaos. So I needed a long break, and then I started mixing the album, and you know, we had to wait for the record company also to have a good slot, because I mean, they're jammed. So you know, there was a lot of different things that made it come out later than we thought. But on the other hand, we weren't really keen on releasing it during the whole bash of the pandemic either. So we had, like, we don't have a crystal ball, but it felt like, you know, it's losing up a little bit. So we were more or less comfortable with the release in November.
And how are your feelings towards Worship? It seems like it was a real powerful album, like a really return to like the edgier, harder stuff that Hypocrisy was known for. Like, what took you in that direction?
I don't know. Me and my kid, we started this father and son thing in 2017, and just writing metal riffs together. And we had like 11 songs or something like that, you know, and we just said, fuck it, you know, put it aside. And then I got a bloody tooth over writing death metal again. So I kind of went back a little bit to the roots of writing in the 90s and stuff like that, not try to make it complicated, but just more I don't know, it's hard to to say, but it just went back a little bit more to more simple riffings and simple melodies, kind of with a good groove and really brutal guitar sound, and really try to get the I don't know, when you write it, I personally I start with one kind of song and then try to make it as interesting and as good as possible, and then if you're done with the fast song, then automatically I jump over to a slow song, kind of, and when you write a song, you just write what you want to hear yourself.
Sure, of course.
Basically, but I guess I am what I am. When I write Hypocrisy stuff, it shows 30 years period of melodies and stuff that we developed over the last 30 years together. So
and congratulations on that, man. It's an outstanding accomplishment to go 3 decades and keeping Hypocrisy going. Like old school death metal right now is just surging. So much power and energy, and so many great bands that are putting out phenomenal albums, Worship included. And on behalf of the fans, thanks. And like I said, we're talking to Peter Tägtgren, singer for Hypocrisy, Swedish Death Metal. What is it about Swedish Death Metal that you think stands out in the minds of all the fans? Like, it's not just death metal. There's a lot of like melody. There's so much. Well, what, in your words, how would you explain Swedish death metal?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I can just relate really to the end of 80s, 90s, beginning of 90s stuff. I guess I'm an old-fashioned guy, but compared to American death metal, I think American death metal is more complex, and the Swedish or the European in general, I think it's a little bit more primitive riffings and stuff like that. So that's the biggest difference. And why it's so many bands, or were so many bands in Scandinavia and stuff, I have no clue. I mean, it's the same in Norway, with the black metal. There's a lot of good black metal there. And if you go to Finland, there's a lot of power metal and more speed metal or thrashy stuff over there. So I don't know why Sweden is death metal and ABBA. I have no clue. I really don't know.
You did mention American death metal, and I read that you actually lived in the United States for like a while. That kind of influenced you a lot, right?
I was there when the Florida death metal scene started rising, or Tampa thing, and before that, I was into whatever all the other people who listened to brutal music. In the beginning of '80s, it was Venom, Welcome to Hell, and then it was Celtic Frost, it was Possessed, it was all these things, and then it kind of basically that was good, man. So I mean, it just developed during the '80s into death metal, I would say, and I was in a good time in Florida in '88, so that was nice to see all these bands popping up.
Yeah, like that scene. I think I grew up a little bit, like maybe 10 years too late, and I missed a lot of that. And I wish I was there to like just be in the thick of it all. But like I said, it's still thriving, and like I said, Hypocrisy is one of the bands that are still keeping it true. And you mentioned Possessed. We have a mutual friend in Bobby Cardenas. Does that ring a bell?
Oh, cool.
Yeah. He's a good buddy of mine, and he wanted me to pass along the message to you. Horns up, get ready to smoke some sick buds.
All right, bro. Cool. Definitely, man. It was great to do to be a part of the last Possessed album. I went to LA and recorded it, and that album is kicks ass.
It is. Gates of Oblivion, I believe it was called. Phenomenal Possessed album. And now let's talk about your legacy with Nuclear Blast. Hypocrisy has just been loyal to the label, and what has helped keep that relationship going?
I don't know. We didn't really have any how to say, we didn't try to milk it. We just did what we did, and as soon as we asked for something, we usually always got it. So there was no reason for us to go anywhere else, I think. So we've been staying, but let's see how the future is. If this was the last album, the last tour we do this year, or I don't know, or maybe we do another album next year. I really don't know what the future brings. So.
Sure, of course. And now your last release, it's kind of a big gap in time. It was about like 8 years since the last release, End of Disclosure, right?
Yeah, it was pretty long time ago.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there's been a lot of tours and
sure.
Still with Hypocrisy, it's not that we went on vacation or anything. Between Hypocrisy, Pain, and Lindemann, there's been a lot of action. 2 Lindemann albums, the Pain album, and now the Hypocrisy album, and I don't know how many tours in between those days.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is what it is. Time flies.
No, that's good. I mean, you're keeping busy on tour, and that's really great. Like, I'm sure you're like enjoying touring, and you've been touring all over the world, or just kind of in your, yeah.
No, definitely with Hypocrisy, 2013. I think we did a lot of countries. Put it that way, from Japan to American tour to European tours, and so on and so forth, and Australia and things. So we were busy with that, and I did the same thing with Pain as well. And with Lindemann, I did the European tour and 2 Russian tours, and so it was pretty busy.
Of course. And through the 3 decades and all the touring that you've done, is there a country or a certain festival or concert that sticks out in your mind of just something that was just like, oh, that's a good memory?
I would say when we went to South America the first time, that really blew our minds because we didn't know what to expect, and it was just insane. Colombia was totally amazing, and all the countries was great. So that's something that I still remember good.
Very cool, very cool. And who are you taking on tour with you as far as the band?
Where, in Europe?
No, the upcoming tour. The upcoming tour coming up is because you had on the record you had Hark. Did I pronounce that right?
Oh yeah, the drummer. Yeah.
Yeah, he was on the album.
A guy called Henrik Axelsson, and he plays drums for The Crown from Sweden. If you know that band.
Yeah, of course.
I think he was on the 2 last albums or something like that. So he's a really good drummer and a really cool guy.
Okay, so he was on the album. Or
no. Horg was on.
Horg was on the album, right? From the drummer from Immortal, and Henrik, you'll be taking Henrik on tour with the drummer. And who else is joining you on tour on guitars and everything else?
I mean, Michael since 2000. No, what am I saying? Since 1992.
Right. Michael's been long.
Yeah, he's always been in the band. So, and Thomas Elofsson, that's been playing guitar with us since 2010 or something like that. He's been with us for a long time, or 15 years almost, I think, actually.
Awesome. Now let's take it back to days that Hypocrisy was trying to get your name out there. I know that the first time I heard of you guys, it was on the compilations. Death is Just the Beginning, which were amazing compilations. Yeah, it was part 2 and part 3 that I heard music from you, and I was like these guys are bad. I mean, honestly, every band on those compilations were intense, but that compilation, what helped spread the name Hypocrisy over the world?
Yeah, I think that compilation was good for us, both of them, because in the beginning when we started, I think the first video we ever did got on this Death is Just the Beginning part 2. And the album just came out or something like that, and it really boosted for us to get recognition everywhere. So that was a good thing for us.
Yeah, it was the early days, the tape trading and the compilations, I think really helped a lot of bands, and it's something that I think it's kind of I don't want to say overlooked, but nowadays you have social media and it just kind of
definitely. I mean, in the 80s we had the Speed Kills 1, 2, 3 and things like that with more thrash stuff. It was great to discover bands there as well for me.
Yeah, and talk about like the scene, or what were the bands that like you were like listening to growing up that were kind of influencing you at the time?
Like I told you before, Venom, Slayer, Metallica, uh, Celtic Frost, Possessed, Morbid Angel, Deicide, things like that. So
We're talking about Worship, the new album that was released last year. For fans that haven't heard it yet, how would you describe the album in relation to like the whole history of Hypocrisy?
I don't know. Good question. I would say it sounds Hypocrisy as as good as Hypocrisy can be. I think you have all the elements in there that you need from Hypocrisy. You have these slow, slice your wrists, slow, dark songs, and you also got the mid-tempo songs and also the fast songs. So, and I think it's pretty catchy. You got some hooks there that doesn't just go in one ear and go out the other. I think something will stick, when you listen to it. At least I hope.
Yeah, totally. I gave it a listen. I've been blasting it, and it's a really good album. Return to form, I would say.
Yeah.
Through the 3 decades that you've been working with Hypocrisy, like, what is it that kept you driving? Like the force that was pushing you to keep going?
I think for me personally, I mean, me, Michael, and Lars, the old drummer, we used to write songs. Of course, I always wrote mainly the most of the parts, but also Lars and Michael wrote many songs on the albums as well in the 90s. And I think together with we have kind of different styles when we write, the three of us. And that really kind of grew out to become the Hypocrisy style, I think. My melodies and or Lars melodies or whatever, and all these things became Hypocrisy. And it's something, as a band in the beginning, you are a copycat of your favorite bands usually. That's how the first album you are inspired by, and then you second or third you start to understand how to do it yourself, and you start to put more your own personality into it. So that's what we've been doing for 30 years, I think. And the only aim is just to write better songs.
Mm-hmm. And through the 3 decades, you saw like the change in the music, how like the wave of metal was kind of up and down and stuff like that. Like was it hard?
Yeah. No, not really. We were sticking to our stuff. I mean, on the 2 first album, we had a different singer. So when I took over on Fourth Dimension, I wanted to sing about something different, and that's where the dimensions and out of body experience and alien UFO kind of science fiction stuff started coming into the picture. And also at the same time, I found a keyboard laying there, so I actually started to write melodies on keyboard and put the guitars on, and that's actually how it became, more mix of dooms in there than just death metal. And I think from there on, it just developed with melodies and stuff. And it's hard to say. It just became what it was. It just grew by itself.
And that's one of the characteristics of Hypocrisy. It's like it's multifaceted, like the melodic stuff, the keyboards and everything that you added really added like a really cool element, and it just expanded the Swedish death metal. I mean, it kind of, I don't know if, correct me if I'm wrong, but it kind of redefines the Swedish death metal, where it's just like not just crazy fast. There's like a lot of melody involved, right? Like it's
yeah. It's not really pure death metal, with just by riffing or anything like that. It's a little bit more added to it with melodies, for sure, on top of this. Mm-hmm. So I mean, every song is different from each other. The fast songs, it's not so melodic, it's more riffing, of course. The slow heavy songs, you got very slow melodies, and usually always a lot of dark melodies, and like I said, slide your wrist, kind of songs.
We condone that behavior.
Yeah.
It's a little disclaimer, but let's go flashback a little bit to like, so when you were in Sweden, and you left, you were in the States, and then you returned to Sweden. How would you describe the scene, the metal scene, in like in your hometown or like throughout the country, of like the concerts and the fans, and what do you remember about that?
I think when in '91 the death metal already had its peak, I would say, for the first generation of death metal, so to speak. It peaked already and started going down, and that's when we came out with our music. So it was kind of hard because some death metal bands started playing more bluesy stuff, and some other death metal bands did something else, became black metal or something. It was just a weird time in the beginning of '90s with the death metal bands, I think. Especially in Europe, everybody started going different ways. Some got more progressive, some got more bluesy, and so on. So I don't know. We just was sticking to what we were doing. I was not really looking around what was going on. It was just, a metal fan, always a metal fan, and that's what I wanted to play.
And how was Sweden receiving Hypocrisy? Like,
It was no big deal.
Yeah?
Nobody was impressed.
Wow, that's a shock.
Yeah, well, you already had, Entombed, Dismember, Grave, Unleashed, and all their stuff, I guess, also was calming down a little bit. So, and try to get up there, it was not easy to these guys, in those days.
Oh, man. But again, props to you that, 3 decades and you guys are still going strong.
We didn't give up, put it that way.
Never give up,
by
man.
doing, I guess.
Yeah. I think more than ever, it's important for old school death metal bands to like still be in the conversation. I mean, props to like a lot of modern death metal. I don't know if you listen to a lot of modern metal bands, but
not too much, to be honest.
And that's a common kind of a common opinion. A lot of old school veterans like yourself.
Yeah. But if you ask my son, he knows everything,
Yeah.
So he hooks me up with some stuff sometimes. But I mean, I guess I'm too old and I'm not really focused on it. It's more I'm back to the '60s and '50s again, with Elvis and Beatles and Stones and shit.
Yeah. Well, that influenced you back in the day, all that stuff. Yeah.
I mean, I grew up with all that shit, so that's really what formed me as well, I guess, as a songwriter.
Influenced by Elvis, right on.
Yeah.
That was I actually mentioned Elvis in a conversation last night. It's like, a lot of old metalheads, believe it or not, like Elvis somehow became an influence to them.
Yeah, Frank Sinatra, man.
And I mentioned him too, man.
Yeah, he was good too.
Yeah. Did you ever get to see?
I don't think he didn't really write anything, but he had a good style and how he sang and how he was. He was a legend.
Yeah, so charismatic on stage. I wish I had gotten to see him. Yeah, but again, we're talking with Peter Tägtgren, singer, keyboard, guitarist for Swedish death metal band Hypocrisy. They're about to go on tour in the States. Are you going to be touring the world too, or is it just the States?
No, we're going to do North America. We're going to go up in Canada, do like 5-6 shows up there as well. We're going to go zigzag on the north border, I guess. And then in the summer, there's a few festivals, not too many, maybe 5 or 6. And then end of September, we go out on the European tour. So
and I think
for 6 weeks or something like that, and then we're gonna try to get our asses over to South America.
Yeah,
and then it's next year, and then we're gonna try to do Scandinavia as well.
Ooh,
it's good to do your home country.
No, of course.
So
that's awesome. You guys are road animals. I admire that. Very cool. And I think you guys will be in LA, which is where I'm at. You'll be in LA in July, I believe, and rest assured.
No, in May.
Is it May?
Yeah,
that's coming up soon. Well, rest assured, Bobby, Crystal, and we will be at the show, and we will come and say hello. Man. Yeah, so
have a couple of beers.
Totally. And any message you want me to give Bobby on your behalf?
Yeah, let's drink. Enjoy life.
Yeah, hell yeah. And on that note, I want to thank you, Peter, for your time. Worship, that was out last year. Make sure you pick up the album, pick up any other albums, merchandise, pick up those tickets when they come to your town. Peter, is there any words you want to give the fans who have supported you, or any new fans that are just catching
Yeah,
word of you?
yeah. I mean, thanks for the support, because I mean, we got a lot of good words for the new album, and that really helps us, stay motivated, and hope to see everybody out on tour, especially now in North America. There, maybe you can post the tour dates for the people so they can see it.
I definitely will. I definitely will.
All right.
Cool.
Perfect, man.
So horns and a cheers to you,
Yeah.
And the Hypocrisy Camp, and you guys,
Yeah.
safe travels, and I will see you soon, buddy.
See you soon. Thank
All right.
you.
Cheers.
Take it easy. Bye-bye.
Bye.